ready?
We got a new Mana game coming out at the end of this month, and it looks pretty awesome, and I can't wait to play it. The Mana series has been a franchise that I've played since I was a kid, and I treasure them dearly. They're games that have a good focus on gameplay with somewhat similar light plots, accompanied by colorful graphics and unique character designs. It is truly an RPG series worth checking out. With Visions of Mana approaching, I wanted to go through the Mana games I think are the best and the couple that I think are the worst. There are lots to choose from as these games have spanned across multiple consoles and handhelds, with some getting remasters and remakes along the way. There are also some mobile games that I didn't waste my time with, so just forget those even exist. Let's start this list off with the good game and the one that started the whole series. Final Fantasy Adventure, released in North America in November of 1991 on the Game Boy. In a nutshell, boy escapes an enslaved gladiator life, finds a girl, and together they try to protect Mana and save the world from the evil Dark Lord and his crafty associate Julius. This game is an action RPG where you wield various spells and weapons, as well as accompanied by many CPU-controlled party members that offer unique abilities of their own. This is a classic Game Boy game for me. I remember playing it most during road trips growing up and just really enjoying this simplistic but addicting combat. Slaying foes is so satisfying, and I really like that when you level up, you get to choose which kind of stats to focus on, adding a nice little layer of depth and some variety. This game honestly might be the best designed game for the platform it was on. The story is straightforward, easy to follow and decent, with really fun combat, a great soundtrack, and it's not really that long with the ability to beat the game in probably under 15 hours. It is the absolute perfect action RPG for the Game Boy, as it delivers what it needs for a handheld console and then some. Little did we know that this small gray cart would spawn an entire franchise. But maybe you need something a little more up to date, with color, better graphics, and a more fleshed out story. You could grab a Game Boy Advance and check out Sword of Mana, which is a remake of Final Fantasy Adventure. It's the same game but with way broader strokes on everything, including an expanded combat system. It's a fun action RPG that I enjoyed playing. Or maybe you're craving a more 3D look. Available digitally on iOS and Android, you can play Adventures of Mana, which is yet another remake of Final Fantasy Adventure. This one I have not played, as I'm not a fan of playing games on a phone or tablet, but as you can see, there are a good amount of ways to experience the beginning of the Mana franchise. But out of all three of these games, the OG will always be on top and have a permanent place in my heart, plus I'm an old man and that's the way I like it. If you can't get a copy on Game Boy, then you can play it via the collection of Mana for the Switch. Now let's switch gears, alright, and take a look at probably the most negatively criticized Mana game. Dawn of Mana, released in North America on May 22nd, 2007 for the PlayStation 2. This game, okay. In classic Mana fashion, boy teams up with girl to fight evil, blah blah blah. Good lord, do I hate this game. Like, real talk, I haven't played enough of this game to give you details about the story, unless you want me to read off the Wikipedia page, which I'm not going to, because I could barely get through the first few levels of this game before just throwing my console across the room out of frustration and extreme disappointment. So let's leave the story alone. I have nothing good or bad to say about it. What I will say is, the gameplay of Dawn of Mana is, in my humble gamer opinion, so fucking dumb. You look at it and you're like, you just hit things with a stick, that ain't too bad, but no. I wish it could be that simple, but you gotta push fucking boulders and shit to scare the enemies, because if you don't scare the enemies, then they won't drop as many medals, and without the medals, you can't gain stats, but then you realize what a waste of fucking time it is, because when you clear a level, all your stats and medals reset, so what the fuck was the point? So I could get a good grade on the stage? If I want to fucking play Devil May Cry, then I'll go play Devil May Cry. I want to play a Mana game, not some game using a beloved franchise to follow whatever the fuck gaming trend was happening in the mid-2000s. And to be fair, that's where a lot of my beef comes from, and I think for a lot of Mana fans as well. It's just how disappointing Dawn of Mana is. It may look and sound like a Mana game, but it's really just some bad third-person PS2 action game with the skin of Mana on it. The combat is mid, the camera sucks, the lock-on sucks, the first-person view to shoot projectiles sucks, the environment falls on you so your dumbass gets juggled 6 ways from Sunday. It takes forever to get up when you get knocked down, and if you get knocked down against the wall, you can't see yourself, so you don't even know if you're standing or not. The voice acting leaves a lot to be desired. Ritzia calls Keldric Keldy for some dumb reason.
Oh no, Keldy. Throw it away!
And Keldy doesn't know how to speak apparently, because he needs a breather mid-sentence to say someone's fucking name every goddamn time.
Okay, let's go. Ritzia? What is it? Ritzia!
The stages look bland, the game stops every 2 minutes to tell you what to do, and I'm only at fucking chapter 2. I don't like it. So fuck this shitty game, let's talk about a good mana game. Secret of Mana, released in North America on August 6, 1993 for the Super Nintendo. This is the second game in the Mana series, and talk about a bona fide Super Nintendo RPG classic. What can be said about this game that hasn't already been said? It has fun action RPG combat, great colorful pixel graphics, a fun soundtrack, and a kind of annoying ring menu that takes forever to get used to, but overall, just a banger of a game. Saving the world with Randy and his friends is just an absolute blast. My strongest memories of this game was playing with my brother when we were kids, because this is an action RPG game with co-op, and that's just awesome. I'm pretty sure we actually played through and beat this game together a couple times, we were just that into it. I love all the weapons you acquire and upgrade. I will legit grind out each weapon to see what the new charge level attack would look like, because the animations of this game are really cool. I loved how you could cheese enemies with magic by timing your spellcasting and just doing it over and over again until I ran out of MP. I love the enemy sprites, I love the boss fights, I love the jank. This is a really fun game. Honestly, if you wanted the best mana game in the series and the best mana game to start with, I would suggest Secret of Mana. This is another game also included on the Collection of Mana for the Switch, or you could play it on one of those Super Nintendo classics. There was also a remake, but we don't talk about that, because that remake was Booty Cheeks. And speaking of Booty Cheeks, let's talk about the last bad mana game I'm going to talk about. Heroes of Mana, released in North America on August 14, 2007 for the Nintendo DS. Holy shit, 2007 was an awful year for Mana. Here we have a real-time strategy game, which isn't at all my main problem with this game, just saying that now. In RTS style, you have a base where you develop units for combat and for resource gathering. Each segment of this game is a large battlefield where you need to defeat enemies while avoiding certain conditions or you will lose. I have no real issue with any of the combat and RTS mechanics in this game. My biggest complaint is how absolutely horseshit this game looks. This is by far the worst character art and design in any Mana game. I mean, look at these people. What's with the super skinny necks? Why does this dude look like he's wearing a fake beard? And sweet, merciful crap, what in the holy fuck is that?
Get it away!
That is one creepy ass little person. It's even worse when two characters that have the same character portrait are talking to each other. It just looks flat out ridiculous. Then we go to the in-game graphics and it's a mess. We got environments and ships in 3D graphics, but the actual characters and enemies are pixelated sprites. This is just a bad clash in my opinion. The sprites look like they should be in a totally different game, and as a whole, I don't think they look that great either. Which is a bummer, because I personally love pixel graphics, and these just look like poop. One thing I will criticize regarding gameplay are the controls. I think it's cool that you can use the stylus to circle a group of units and move them all at the same time, but too many times the stylus doesn't respond or it'll accidentally respond when you tap the screen. It's just not reliable. It seems like this would be way easier with the mouse and keyboard, like this game should have been made for PC. Now, I'm not against a dev trying something new with the property, but much like with Dawn of Mana, this game just feels like a different game with the Mana skin on it. I didn't really feel like it had any of that Mana soul, and my thoughts on this game are highly subjective. I could def see some gamers actually getting into this game, but too much of the game just didn't jive with me, and I can't get past how bad it looks. But the next game I totally fuck with. Seiken Densetsu 3, or Trials of Mana, released in North America on June 11, 2019, as the third game in the Collection of Mana for the Nintendo Switch. I look at this game as an evolution of Secret of Mana, with dribbles of more depth here and there. For starters, the game has multiple protagonists, and only 3 could be selected per game, so you know from the start that if you want to experience everyone's stories, you'll have to play this game twice. Second, combat is overhauled, so instead of waiting for a gauge to fill to 100% like in Secret of Mana, you actually have small combos you can perform and a gauge to build in order to perform skills. Graphically, I think Trials of Mana is better as everything around has a little bit more detail added, especially on the character sprites. This game also introduces a class system so you can customize your party a bit more. I first played this game way back in the day with a fan-translated ROM. I thought it was fun and enjoyable, but it didn't really stick with me as much as Secret of Mana did. I think it's probably because I have more special memories attached to Secret of Mana, but it's actually not the 16-bit game that I want to gush about. It's the remake. Back in April of 2020, a 3D remake of Trials of Mana dropped and I got it on Steam, and I want to put this out there. This is one of the best remakes of an RPG that I've ever played. It just takes everything from the original and makes it better, in my opinion. The combat is more fun to play, everything is colorful and great to look at, there's no fan translation so I understand what's going on way better, quality of life improvements to help you know where to go, because in the original, I got lost a few times. I didn't know if it was because I wasn't paying attention or the translation was just way off. The characters and their plots are light, but interesting enough to get invested. And then there's broken-ass Kevin over here morphing into his wolf form and just destroying everything. By far my favorite character in the game. This remake captures the soul of a Mana game and its world perfectly. I think the 16-bit game is great, but the remake is just hands down better. So just to recap, Final Fantasy Adventure, Secret of Mana, and Trials of Mana, really good. Dawn of Mana and Heroes of Mana, not so good. The Mana games tried to have something for everyone, but I think sticking to the action RPG format is definitely the best way to go. If you haven't played the Mana games, I hope this video helped you decide if you want to jump in or not. I think it's a great series overall and a lot of fun. Have you played the Mana games? What did you think of them? Feel free to share your thoughts. Thank you for watching.